guys, this is Brad with Lucky 7 Racing. I'm back here today doing another car review, and I'm with Jason Martinez in his Porsche Cayman GT4. Now, Jason is also known for running the San Diego Cars and Octane meet that happens once a month in San Diego. It's a cars and coffee event like mine, and he's recently picked up a new vehicle. Now, Jason has been known as being a Mustang guy. I've known him for a little while. In fact, the first Mustang that he actually took to SEMA. It was a 2014 5.0. Had some work done to it, and he had a pretty successful campaign at the SEMA show about 3 years ago when I first met him. Well, he got rid of that car, and then he turned around and got a GT350, which was a beautiful blue Mustang. I really liked the car. Well, then he got rid of it after about a year and a half, and he turned around and got a Porsche. So, Jason, what's going on? I mean, you had Mustangs, now suddenly you're in a Porsche. Tell us a little bit about why you picked this up over the Mustangs that you had.
Well, it's a great question, and the bottom line is that I like specialty cars, and the GT4 was a car that came out several years ago. I want to say 2015, and I was always interested in it, but like most Porsches, you know, it's super expensive. So out of my range, I've always been a muscle car guy as well. I always will be. I got a 2014 Mustang, like Brad said, and we modified it a lot, got it into SEMA, which was a great experience. But I always had this itch in the back of my mind that I needed to scratch, and I wanted a track purpose car, and that got me into the GT350.
Of course, yeah, that's a great track car.
Yeah, and it's it is a remarkable car. I didn't take it to the track, but I did do a lot of canyon runs with it, and
sure, no, it's a great car for that. You know, I mean, the ability just in the factory chassis alone has a lot of good handling characteristics behind it. Ford definitely put a lot of work into that chassis specifically for track days, canyon guy days, even the cars and coffee guys like what you and I hang around with, because it does have that good stance. It's got a really good presence on the road, and you know, now you've moved into this, so.
And it sounds amazing too.
This car does sound amazing. I mean, it's got the factory sport exhaust on it. It's got the Carrera 3.8 liter motor in it. Now, it doesn't exactly have the same setup as the Carrera has, because it's got a little bit of a different intake plenum from what you've told me, a little bit different throttle body, probably a little bit of a different tune. So you're down about 40 or 50 horsepower compared to the Carrera S. But you're also about 500 pounds lighter with the Cayman GT4. So you've got that light and nimble feel out of the car, which makes it just like what you're looking for. A good track day car. It's great for going through canyons, or if you're just on a nice cruise like we are today. We've got some decent weather this morning, and you know, we've got a good little drive going along here.
Definitely, and yeah, so the 350 is faster in a straight line, especially than this car, but with the mid-engine and like you said, the lightweight aspect of this car, I mean, it's 1,000 pounds less than
that's incredible.
Than the Shelby GT350.
Wow.
I mean, so 385 crank horsepower, not wheel horsepower in this car, but it's extremely capable, and yeah, like Brad said, it sounds amazing.
And of course, you've got one of the things that I really enjoy is that this car is a manual transmission car, which is really surprising, because with the technology behind Porsche and a lot of what they've taken from the 24-hour Le Mans and a lot of other enduro races where they've been successful, Porsche has done away with the manual transmission cars in their race cars. But the Cayman specifically is only available, or not just the Cayman, but the Cayman GT4, like what we're in, is only available specifically with the 6-speed manual transmission. And that's got to have a little bit of a different feel in itself compared to your Mustang. Was your Mustang a manual, or was it also?
No, it was a manual, but it was a Ford manual.
Okay.
And again, I gotta reiterate this. I am very, very pro Ford. Like, I am a Ford guy through and through.
Yeah, I've always known you as a Ford guy. That's a muscle car guy.
And I always will be. However, I must say that this gearbox is just better. It's tighter out of the factory.
Just has a better feel to it.
Yeah, the clutch feel, everything is just better. It's just refined.
Yeah, of course. Well, Porsche is known for that with a lot of the technology through their transmissions and what they've done over the years with their engines, and as they've stepped up things quite a bit, and as they've tried to carry along their technology from what they get from the racetrack, and a lot of the cars that I've driven, what carries over from the racetrack and the factory race programs over to what you can buy on the street. Now, you were lucky enough to actually find this car with low miles, because you are the second owner of the vehicle, but only had like 4,500 miles on it from what you told me when you got it. That's a heck of a find.
Yeah, it was, and the previous owner, he was actually the owner of Taylor Guitars, which is kind of a cool, you know, backstory on the car.
Yeah.
He's an avid Porsche guy. He's got, I think he's got 12 right now.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and all the way up to a 918.
No kidding.
which is, you know, a million plus dollar car.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, it's cool that Porsche really brings their track experience to their GT program. One thing I've learned recently by talking to, you know, longtime Porsche guys is that if you get a Porsche with the GT badge, I don't care if it's a GT3, GT4, GT2, it doesn't matter. First of all, they're hand built and they're extremely limited. They don't really make a lot of them.
That's right. I think there's only 2,500 of these, at least of this model year, maybe of a couple model years, because they didn't feel that they were going to be able to sell a lot of them. So they only made so many of them so they don't oversaturate the market. So actually finding one is actually pretty difficult. In fact, even the new models, from what I've seen and what you've looked up, there's not going to be very many of them produced from Porsche. So to be able to get a hold of one of these, you've got to get on a waiting list, and then God only knows how long that wait list is going to last.
Yeah, it is. And they, you know, the dealers mark them up and because of their rarity, and people pay it. It's something that I had to deal with when I first, you know, was introduced to this car, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to, you know, I didn't want to pay the dealer markup.
Sure, of course, no one ever does.
And so I waited a few years, and I found one in a color that's even more rare.
What color is this? Because it is a dark gray metallic, or it's almost like a dark chocolate.
Yeah, it's
metallic.
Porsche calls it a gate or a gate, depending on what part of the world you're in. It's A-G-A-T-E,
okay.
gray, and only 150 of those in this color exist.
Wow.
In the United States. I found that out too.
And you've got some uniqueness to this interior, which we'll take a look at a little bit more in a bit, but there's yellow stitching throughout that carries out throughout the seats. You've got a hard carbon back seat here, which you have, I don't know, can you recline these or no?
No, they're not reclinable.
They are solid back. Okay.
They are solid back.
So this is a good competition seat, because I can even feel just in cruising around here that the vehicle's got a good solid feel with the suspension. Take us a little bit about, you know, you transitioned from essentially a front engine rear drive car. Both your Mustangs had a pretty good amount of horsepower to them. You're now dealing with a mid-engine car, so I'm sure the feel has got to be a lot different with the way this car brakes, with the way it turns. The feedback to you through the car as to what you're getting when you're going down the road, because you haven't really been down a track with it yet.
No, but I took the car out for the first time yesterday. And when I say first time, I mean first time like doing some actual spirited driving.
Okay.
And we went some back roads through California, and you know, for those viewers out there that haven't been to California, there's a lot of twisties out here.
Of course, no, we've got some great driving roads here in San Diego. You and I have both been lucky enough to experience a lot of what there is to offer. And you can really test a vehicle here, which I've been lucky enough to test a few vehicles. And in fact, when I did the Corvette previous to this, I was lucky enough to go down one of our local roads, and the car drove great. And of course, I was used to the same thing, front engine vehicle, rear drive, going to what was considered to be a mid-engine, except with GM, they've always sort of had a mid-engine in their Corvette, depending on, you know, how you look at the layout of the vehicle because of what they've done with the Z06 platform over the years. Porsche's always been known for having the engine in the rear, and they've kind of put the horse before the cart, so to speak. And they were one of the first ones to really do that and be able to be successful with it. Other manufacturers have done that, but they haven't been as successful as Porsche has over the years, and they've stuck with that platform and made it work pretty decently. So for them, you know, it's definitely a great opportunity to be able to not only just go for a ride one of these or drive one, but to even own one and to have that chance, because not everyone's able to really have one of these. And it is a step up from what some people feel from one platform over another. So it's awesome that you're able to have this and you know, be able to enjoy it. So I think what we're going to do is let's pull up here, let's take a closer look at what we've got, because there's a lot to this vehicle that I want you guys to be able to see out there on YouTube and get a closer look at the suspension a little bit, the intricacies of the wheel and tire package, and the specifics of this vehicle, because it's not just like a regular Cayman. So let's cruise up here, let's go take a look. taking a look at a bit of a closer look at this car and all the details of it. In fact, we've got a really great interior here that we can take a look at. Now, being 6 feet tall, trying to get out of a car that has a competition seat isn't exactly real easy. But this is a full hardback carbon fiber seat. This is something that you would see in a lot of race car applications. You don't have any reclining options, but you do move the seat back and forth, which for a tall guy like me at 6'2", I actually fit pretty well in the car, and the seats are really comfortable. Throughout the car, you've got suede, alcantara, you've got leather, and you've also got yellow stitching that carries the yellow theme from the brake calipers into the interior. It's a really beautiful look with the vehicle. And of course, it's a 6-speed manual transmission, which is something that was only available in the GT4, really unique to the vehicle. The wheels and tires on this car, as I mentioned before, are pretty wide. You've got a 20 by 8.5 in the front. You've got a 20 by 11 in the rear with solid rubber on this thing. You're going to have plenty of grip for going around corners and in your track days, or if you're just going through the canyons and enjoying your morning out on your drive. Now, the front of this vehicle carries a frunk, which is a front trunk, a lot like what we had in the Corvette C8, but there's actually a little bit more room in the front area. You can actually probably fit a couple of small bags, a little bit more than what you could get in the Corvette C8. And that's something that Porsche has always been known for, because it's always been a rear motor vehicle, and you've had this small front area for any kind of storage that you may need. The back actually has some room. Not as much room as what you have with the Corvette C8. The C8, of course, you could fit maybe a couple of golf bags. This, not so much. You can maybe put a couple of small bags back here, and that's really about it. There's not a lot of room in the back of this. Porsche has always been known for having a small trunk area. Probably something that they kind of get knocked for a little bit, because you don't have a lot of storage back here. That's pretty much about it. Now, the car does come with the sports exhaust from the factory. It is the 3.8 Carrera motor, which is the same motor out of the Carrera S. And of course, it's got a little bit of a different intake plenum, different throttle body, a little bit of a different tune. But as I mentioned before, you can change all that on this car, and then you've got as much horsepower as a Carrera S, but a lighter weight package. So then you can go to a track day or go on a canyon run with other Porsche enthusiasts and really give them a good run for their money. So overall, the platform is a really great car from a driver's standpoint. I've really been enjoying the car. I know Jason's been enjoying the car because he's only had it for about maybe 2-3 weeks from the time that we filmed this, and really unique. So let's give this thing a good start up and see what it really sounds like. Not bad for 385 horsepower, and that's just at the crank. So you've got maybe a little less than that, but this car's definitely got some go to it. You can do it again. So for now, this is Brad from Monkey 7 Racing, Car Stock and Donuts Automotive Event. Hang with Jason Martinez. We'll see you at the next event.